Record again. All right, we are recording now. Go for it.
All right. I'm Eli Braun. Welcome in. Thanks for coming to the interview.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
So I think we'll just get started with some questions here. Yes, first and foremost, why would you like to be a part of Imaginary PT here?
Well, I was doing a search on Google and I found your practice online. Um, so I want to be a PT in the future, and I would love to work with climbers as I am a climber myself. And I think that your clinic is really cool in that you guys are doing some really great work with um, like just testing and injury prevention and diagnosing injuries in climbers specifically, which is, I think, a very big growing athletic field at the moment. It'd be great to be a part of that team.
Yeah, it sounds like exactly the things that you're looking for here translate specifically to this environment. Yeah, we do specialize in climbing, so I like that you really like that. Let me see. So what do you think you can bring here to Imaginary PT? Kind of, I guess, in your strengths, what do you think your biggest strengths are?
Yeah, so I see that you guys are a large research clinic as well as working with patients. And in regards to that, I have actually a pretty diverse background when it comes to research. 2, 3 years ago, I was working in a marine biology lab doing studies on nudibranchs. Specifically, we looked at phenotypic hatching plasticity and got to do a lot of hands-on collections and experiments with the little sea slugs. And then right now, actually, I'm working in a lab with organic chemistry. So basically what we do is we deal with organic synthesis of silicon molecules. We got a few different novel methods that we've been creating new carbon-carbon bonds, and it's been a really exciting opportunity. But through that, I've just learned a lot about how the research process works. I've been let in on the grant writing process, how to get funding through the grants, writing a paper. It's actually what I'm doing right now is I'm processing data to hopefully get published soon. But yeah, I have a lot of those. I'm a really great problem solver, and I love working with my hands, which is part of why I've been doing research in the chemistry field. I've previously worked in athletic training at my high school, so I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the diagnostic tools and treatments that are often prescribed for athletic injuries. So it'd be great to take those skills and hopefully bring it to Imaginary PT and work with you guys in whatever capacity I can.
Awesome. I think that's great that you have that experience in athletic training and research. I think a lot of people your age can't say that they have all of that under your belt already. So I think that's really important.
Thanks.
What would you say you would like to get out of your experience here at Imaginary PT?
Oh, yeah. So, as I told you, I am a climber and I'd like to be a PT. Kind of what I envision for myself in the future right now is maybe working in a clinic and then eventually working my way up to opening my own practice where I could focus on outdoor athletes. Climbers specifically, one of the target demographics I think is actually a good spot to focus on is actually the children and the youth teams, because that's really competitive right now, and more and more people are joining the sport, making more and more demand, which is great. And working in a clinic that's one of the first to specialize in an academic way and working with climbers specifically would be such an incredible opportunity for me to learn more of the ins and outs of this kind of niche field within physical therapy. Yeah, that's really exciting for me with the clinic. And also just gaining more experience in general in a physical therapy clinic and a research setting. It'd be really good just to build out and round out my experience within this world.
Awesome. I think it's great you have that ambition. I think you're right. Climbing is really growing as a sport, and they are going to need more people that are ready to handle that field. Let's see. How do you feel that you work under pressure?
Oh, I feel great. Actually, I think that's probably one of my big strengths that I didn't mention before, but working under pressure is something that, like, I do sometimes better than working without pressure, weirdly enough. I don't know if it's from climbing or if climbing helped foster this in me, but it's one of those things where it's like it's so high stakes, right? And it's one of those things that, you got to do it right, you got to do it diligently, and if you do that, like, you're gonna have a good time, a safe time, um, but you have to keep a level head, right? Something that you're probably familiar with. But working well under pressure is honestly, I think, where I thrive personally.
Awesome. I think that is a really important skill. Um, what would you say, I guess, professionally, what your biggest achievement is so far?
Yeah, actually, that came up with my research into silicon chemistry. So this past summer, I got the opportunity to present at the American Chemistry Society National Convention down in San Diego. It was super exciting. Me and my research partner flew down there, and we had a little poster session, had it all built up. So um, I would say that was a really great experience because it was a way to connect within a field of like-minded people and get a lot of ideas and just comments of what other people thought about my work that I'd been doing. It was also a great experience of just putting yourself out there and being kind of just like communicating your work in a way that isn't the way that is in your head, right? Because when you're working on something, it's very easy to get sucked up into, like, the nuts and bolts of how something works, but it's different to communicate that to someone else effectively, right? So I think that's a very important part about this whole scientific field that we have is taking the work that we do and communicating it, because ultimately science really isn't much other than tinkering your garage unless you communicate it to other people. So I think that was it was a really big personal achievement for me and also a really big learning opportunity.
Awesome. Looks like I only got a few more questions for you here. What to you does this position of being a PT intern, what does it mean to be like good in this position?
Yeah,
do
so
well.
I think that being a good intern would be just absorbing as much information as possible and being helpful where I can. So I know that as an intern, I'm not in the most knowledgeable position, so I can't do likely a lot of independent work, but I'd be happy to do it in whatever capacity that would be allowed of me, and I can. But really, I think that a good intern is a person that's there to learn, and that's why I would like this position, is just to learn.
Awesome. And I appreciate that you have that desire to learn. I think that really is what makes people want this type of position the most, and that do the best are the people that want to learn. Where do you see yourself in, we'll say, the near future, so maybe 5 years from now?
Yeah. So my current plan, we're going to see how things go right now because of just, the current COVID-19 crisis. Things are a little bit more up in the air. But I'm planning on graduating next fall, and then taking the rest of the year basically as a gap year and applying to PT schools during that time. So hopefully in 5 years, I'll either be like either just finishing up or still in PT school. The hope is to have a job lined up after that. If possible, do some research, maybe getting my thesis done. But yeah, probably just likely on that same path to get my DPT.
Awesome. I think it's great you have that goal set out ahead of you. I got one last question here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say, tell me about a time that maybe in the workplace or some area of your life that you handled a conflict, and how did it affect you? Like, what did you learn from it?
Okay, yeah. So up here in Bellingham, I'm one of the captains of the climbing team and have been for a few years now. And that's always been a really interesting and honestly like dynamic work environment. So my first year we came into it and we did not have any semblance of how anything worked. And people wanted to do jobs like certain jobs, like writing the workouts or booking travel, signing for comps. There's a little bit of conflict going on with how those were handled. And there was a solution that we tried out for a little bit. We all worked together. We decided we're going to do it as a team and work together on each issue and each task. But what we realized very quickly was that there was a lot of toes being stepped on because someone was felt more strongly about workouts or someone felt more strongly about registration, right? So toes were being stepped on. People just want to do their thing, right? It's kind of hard to communicate between two people. But how we decided to work past that was instead we just divvied up tasks completely and gave people full autonomy over their one thing. They can phone a friend, ask for help in that situation, but ultimately that tasks of whatever it may be is it's their baby. Like they got to take care of it. They're gonna do their thing with it. They need help. They're asked for help. But kind of just like realizing how to work in that group effectively and efficiently was really important. Yeah, but I think that like a lot of working with other people and working through that was important there.
Awesome. Like that's great how you guys handled that. That's all I have for you. I really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks.
And hopefully we'll be reaching out to you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.